Hello, what's going on, everybody? Welcome. Happy Thursday to you. Happy May 5th. Big Ace here. Got Wes with me. It's another Brisco and Big Ace show. We got a very special guest joining us today. It's been a while, Wes, since we actually have a guest on, so I'm pretty excited for this.
Yeah,
Everybody.
not only do we have a guest, we have one of my best friends, my road dog, somebody that I've spent over a year and a half every single day, like on the road with. One of my homies went to a whole nother country together. We've sold out shows. We've done pretty much everything together. My good buddy, Mr. Garett Bischoff.
That's right.
Man, that's a whole lot to follow right there.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
true, though. Your guys' history runs deep.
True, it does. It
Our
much does.
history really does run deep. I mean, the whole evolution of my career. Like when I first started in FCW, I had, I was in the ring a lot, but I really didn't get that TV exposure and that worldwide exposure till I was tagging with my boy Garett. Like when we started out tagging together, that's when I blew up, and that's when really the whole world found out who Wes Brisco was. And luckily, I was tagging with my road dog, Mr. Garett.
Oh, yeah, we definitely had some fun. I'm sure we'll get into some of those here as we go through this evening.
Yeah, man, definitely. Well, I wanted to first of all, like, I know how you got started, like, kind of a little bit with doing, the ref stuff, but I wanted to, I never really asked you, like, how did you get started in the beginning? Like, what was, like, where did you first, like, step your foot in the ring? Like, what was your first ring experience?
Because you were around it most of your life.
Yeah, he was around his whole life, but when, like, he was probably like me, like, dabbed into it, but I want to know when he, like, was, like, kind of was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going all in,
Yeah. So, and like I said, like just like Wes, my dad started back in AWA.
Yeah.
And I can't recall what year it was, but I was too young to remember. I was probably 4 or 5 years old, maybe. I mean, I was pretty young. And I do remember a little glimpse of him bringing me to those offices, though. That was when my first experience around it, as far back as I can remember.
Was that Minnesota?
Yeah. So we were still living in Minnesota. My sister and I were born there.
Where in the Twin Cities area?
Yeah, that's where we were born, and then we moved out to a little out into the country, to a little town called Prior Lake. Well, it was Little Dan. Yeah. So if you're familiar with it, Prior Lake.
I'm an hour south from that whole area.
Oh, okay. Well, then, cool little area. I love it. I still like to go every time we get to go back to Minnesota. I still like to go out there and visit that area. There's two little places we like to go that I can remember being a part of when I was a kid. But, anyways, so AWA was it, and I can remember him taking me to those offices and run around, and that was my first experience of meeting these larger than life characters, so to speak. And the joke is, and I don't remember this, probably for obvious reasons, but Wahoo McDaniel was in the offices one day, and my dad tells me that he had me picked up by my ankles and he dropped me right on my head. So when they asked me, you dropped on your head when I was little? Yes, by a big Indian. I always like to say Wahoo McDaniel. I took my first bump from Wahoo McDaniel.
So I actually have some questions about, like, what other, because I have some crazy stories about Wahoo. What was like one of those stories that you remember of Wahoo? Or
I don't.
I
don't. I was so young.
Yeah,
I was so young, and I don't know how I can't recall how long Dad was there, but by the time I started getting old enough to, understand what was going on really and remember, what was going on or what was happening, we were moving to Atlanta, and that was when he started. Atlanta. So that's, I guess it could go as far back as that. Cut out all the middle, all the WCW stuff that everybody's heard me talk about 1,000 times.
Yeah, we don't want to.
It was, I had always said that that's what I wanted to do. I want to do this. I want to try it. I want to be part of this some way, some shape, some form. And the longer my dad was in the business, the more he would try to talk me out of doing that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, they've been through it and they've seen it. I mean, your dad more so than my dad, but they know how brutal it can be, how cutthroat it can be, how unpredictable it can be. It breaks up. I mean, it is what it is. It's a shit show. It's a shit show lifestyle. It is, even for the best of them. So he tried to talk me out of it for a long time, and I was persistent. I guess it was probably 23-ish, right when I really said, okay, I'm getting, I really, really, really want to try this. And things had started turning around with TNA at the time, and he had just started getting involved with TNA, and I was like, well, maybe this is a good way for me to get my foot in the door. Maybe I could start here. And of course, he tried to talk me out of it, and when he realized that just wasn't going to talk me out of it, he finally said, all right, if I can't talk you out of it, then I got to, then we'll, obviously your mom and I are going to back you up, but support you 100%. It was then that we decided to go out to California and enroll in Knox Pro, which is Rikishi's wrestling.
No way. See, this is why I'm like, it's so funny. We've been friends for so long, and like, I knew we trained together at Knobs, but I never knew where you because I was like, there's no way Knobs could have taught you like, you know what I mean? Some of the skill that you have. Like, there's no way. Like, I was like, wonder where he and that was the question that I always wanted to ask you, but it's crazy. It just never came up. And we've always since we're such good friends, we never talk about wrestling.
Right.
So now it's kind of weird because I don't ever talk about wrestling, but it's just but okay, cool. I'll let
this
you.
Is literally the only time you talk about wrestling.
Yeah. He's right. Usually when we're out there, if we're out hanging out together, if we're talking about wrestling, it's going over what we're going to do. But once the match is over, it's all right. Where are we going to go get food and a drink and all the day? But yeah, so that's where I literally broke in at, was out there. And at the time it was Rikishi, Reno with Black Pearl, and David Heath, Gangrel. He was the head coach. So Gangrel was literally, he was my head coach from day one.
Dude, that's so crazy because we came in full circle with Gangrel so many times where we've wrestled him, we've tagged with him.
I just watched a YouTube clip of you guys tagging at his school recently.
Yeah,
that was against the
Headbangers. Yeah.
That was an interesting one.
Yeah.
Was that the one at the strip club?
I think it was at his school.
It was at his it was at his
wrestling school. Have a show at the strip club. Sorry to throw you under the bus, Dave, but have a wrestling show at the strip club.
So that's where it all started. I was out there for I guess 8 months or so, and they were in the process of moving buildings, and there was some downtime in between the time that their old building that they had to be out of, and they were going to be into their new building. So in that downtime, I ended up going back to Wyoming. Things kind of happened very quickly at TNA, and I mean, literally overnight. It was probably sooner than it should have. I probably wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I know I wasn't. But it was what it was. It was like, hey, sink or swim. Let's, got the opportunity. Let's give this a shot. Let's go.
That's one thing I've always, when you said you weren't, I think you were. I think it was just God just saying, let's go. Like, sometimes you got to take the opportunity. I don't care what anybody says. If you get an opportunity shown in front of you, especially in the wrestling business, you never know when that opportunity will come up again, because in the wrestling business, opportunities are like that. So if you do get one, I don't care if you're ready or not. I mean, we've seen it with everyone. It's just you busted your ass and you did capitalize on it. You didn't blow it, so you did great. So I don't think you went too soon. I just think that you had the opportunity, and like anybody else, you went for it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you both had great. I mean, the stuff you guys both were doing when you first came into TNA. I mean, just the people you were working with in the ring and stuff. I mean, that's amazing. That's so great. Now, I want to ask you this, Garett, because when you first came in, was it Jackson James?
Yeah.
So where's that name come from? Like,
so my middle name is James.
Okay.
The way that we decided that, okay, we're going to do the referee thing, which was really cool in its own sense, because, and kind of going back to where I was saying, when I really wasn't probably ready to be on TV doing that shit. I got to continue to learn inside the ring from a whole different level that most guys that wrestle don't get the opportunity to see. And I had Brian Hebner and Earl Hebner, who are, those guys are legends in their own rights. And they took me under their wing, and I was able to really, learn the mechanics of how a match goes and see it from a different point of view that, like I said, most guys don't get to see, at least in that perspective for that period of time. So that was really cool. And those guys were great. And kind of to bounce off what you just said, Wes and I, had a lot of people there that they could have been dicks. They didn't have to be as cool as they were. Guys like Samoa Joe and AJ and James Storm and Ken Anderson and, Bully and Devon. I mean, all these guys, they didn't have to be as cool as they were, knowing who we were. They could have stiffed us and just, ate us up and walked away. And they didn't. They were all very gracious. They were all very cool. They took the time to work with us and work with me. And it was very cool for them to do that. They didn't have to.
Yeah. I mean, that's a stacked roster. So, I mean, obviously you guys were doing something right to be in the mix of that. You know what I mean? It was fun though. I do remember being like, wait, Garett Bischoff's son is the referee in TNA, and then just seeing it unfold how it did. Because you guys, now, when did you and Wes first meet though?
Oh man, it was when we were little kids.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we'd met a handful of times growing up over the years. We never had gotten super close. I didn't live in Florida at that time, but we had, our paths had crossed, a dozen times, and so we knew who each other were, and we hung out when we were backstage and stuff like that. But it wasn't until when he came. I think it was a gut check, right?
Yeah,
it was a TNA gut check, and that it was and I was his gut check opponent.
Which, by the way, I watched that recently, and that pin I love that pin. Whatever that was, I love it though.
Who showed us that? Christopher Daniels?
It was either Daniels or Al Snow. It might have been Al Snow.
Yeah, it was. I forgot who showed us that pin.
That was fun.
It made me pop again watching it on YouTube. I was like, oh shit, look at that. Like, I forgot about it. It was great.
Yeah, it was a really good experience. And being with Garett, I've just moved back from Puerto Rico. So I just came back to Florida, and it was cool to have someone because I didn't really know too many people. I just came back, and then me and Garett just instantly bonded, and we started traveling and hanging out, and it was really cool, that whole experience. And then especially just how we said, transformed on. Yep. But another question I've been wanting to ask you was what was your first motorcycle? What was your first bike?
First ever, dirt bike, or first kind of big boy bike on the street?
No Yamaha 110 or 125 or 250, or maybe you even had the 450. But those things are a hell of a thing to start. But I'm talking about your first, real bike.
So it is. I still have it. It's a 95 Harley Davidson Bad Boy Springer.
What?
And that's still the bike I ride today. I still have it. 22 years. I've been driving the same Harley for the last 22 years. I'm 37 now. I got it when I was 16.
Is that the one? Is that the one you drove to the to one of my properties?
Yeah, the Springer. And I just put 8 hangers on it since then. But yeah,
the 8 hangers on that thing. And then I know you have another bike that I know a lot of people would flip out if they even heard you talk about this bike.
The old NWO chopper.
Yes, that's something that we gotta. I don't really like talking about wrestling, but that's something we kind of got to go into. Tell me about that bad boy.
So collector's heaven right there.
It's
horsepower.
It's still out. It's at my boy's shop out in Arizona. He's got it right now. It's been sitting there dormant for the last, I think, 4 years. I just got to figure out somewhere to put. I don't have room here for it. But yeah, so that's the bike that there was only 2 of those bikes built, one for my dad and one for Hulk. And it's a hardtail, rigid, rough riding, kidney beaten back breaking son of a bitch, but it's a bad mamma jamma. I love that bike. And I think Hulk, I believe, just sold his or donated, and for charity causes. So all the proceeds went to a charity foundation. And I'm not sure where, but I'll get it out here in Florida one of these days.
So I'm guessing, is this the notorious bikes that was in Botchamania that one of the guys gave Hogan the wrong bike to drive out on? And it was for his birthday. They did it on TV.
I don't remember if that was the one or not.
Because that was a birthday gift. Because Hogan was looking at your dad and was jealous because your dad had a better bike than Hogan has ever had. And Hogan was jealous. So your dad was like, what can I give, Hogan something that no one else could? And he was like, remember how Hogan was like, man, I really like your chopper, Eric, like really putting over his bike. So I guess Hogan figured out a way to do it on TV where it was during NWA where he brought out a bike, but someone brought out the wrong bike. But I don't know if he brought out like Eric's bike, your dad's bike, instead of like Hogan's bike. But I don't know. It was a huge ordeal, and your dad had a course. He's such a stud. He covered it up on live TV by yelling at the guy and bring the real bike, and he covered it up really well. Because
I'd have to ask him. I don't remember that. I don't recall that story. I'd have to ask him.
Yeah, ask him about that story. It's actually pretty funny.
I will. But yeah, so I got that bike. I got my Springer. I have a 1979 shovel head basket case in my garage right now. It's in pieces and parts. It's just a frame.
I love the old shovel heads.
2 wheels. I don't even have a motor for it yet. It will be a shovel head. It's a shovel head frame without a motor. So that one will take me probably in 3 or 4 years to complete and build, but it's just something to go tinker on. And I'm not going to do anything crazy to it. It's got a suicide shift. It's all set up for suicide.
Those are
it's a death trap, especially around here. But
yeah, see, that's the only bad thing about like some places in Florida having motorcycles. Like there's some awesome places to ride in Florida, but there's some deadly places because it's not the motorcycles, it's the people not paying attention. The people that, just easily just go over to the left lane or right lane and just swerve right over, and they don't look in the mirrors, and they don't think that, even check twice.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I'm on that bike 10 times, 8 out of 10 of those, I have a close call.
Yeah. And they wonder why people have their Harleys and motorcycles so loud. It's not because we're trying to get attention. It's so people can.
I'm trying to get your attention.
Hit us.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
They need to
so
know.
You don't hit us. At least you can hear us. Maybe if you hear us, you won't hit us.
That's it. Loud pipes save lives.
Yeah, man. So another thing I wanted to get into was your ink. Like, what was like some of your like when did you start like fully going like, all right? Because when I first met you, you had some ink, but you didn't really go. You had a little bit though. You didn't like.
I had a half sleeve.
Hard in the paint. When did you decide? You know what? I'm gonna go hard in the paint and I'm gonna get inked up.
So I mean, I got my first tattoo when I was 16. And
yeah, okay. I
knew it was on from there.
There's a difference between tattoo and being inked up.
Yeah,
it's not a lie though. Like when you get one, it's like a drug. You just have to keep getting them.
Yeah, it's Pringles. Once you pop, you don't stop.
Right.
So now remember right now in this day and age, CEOs have full sleeves and stuff, but that's fairly newer. 15 years ago, 18 years ago, when I was trying to get into that business and on TV, it wasn't as, that was a lot more not frowned upon, but
it was. No, it was.
Very few people were allowed to do that. Taker was one of them, but you just didn't. And you didn't want that to be a reason. So my dad was just like, don't do it. Obviously I was a grown adult. He didn't tell me what to do, but he very much, he's like, just don't. And then as time went on and more, it became more acceptable. Then everybody had them. So then when you didn't have them, you stood out. Yeah. So that was a part of it. I guess to answer your question, Wes, when I decided to pull the trigger and say, fuck it, I don't care anymore, was when my contract ended and I knew I wasn't going back. I'm like, that was the only reason I wasn't. So here we go.
You're like, all right, it's time to get scribbled on.
So then I finished off 2 sleeves. I have probably
your leg,
3/4 of my right leg done, half of my left leg done, and I got a full back piece that I've started. I'm about 65-70% way through.
All right. So how many? I want both you answer this actually. So how many hours total you think of work is done on each of you right now?
Oh gosh, 24. I mean, I'm probably looking at an easy 200 hours maybe, ish.
Wow.
Maybe a little more.
Wes, you're like full leg, right?
I'm around 1,000.
Man.
Yeah, I'm like right at 1,000 hours. I have it all written down. The last time I didn't write down the last time I got tatted, so that's why I think I'm around 1,000 hours. But yeah, once you start, you can't stop. And then like once you go in, it's like.
Thankfully, my tattoo guy is super fast because the older I get, I can't sit anymore. Like an hour and a half, 2 hours, I'm like, all right, we're done. I'm out.
Dude, I'm the same way, man. Like, it's so funny. I used to be able to sit for like 6 to 7 hours. Now I can sit for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and it's pushing it. Like last time, I literally looked at my artist and I was like, dude.
Yep.
Plus, I was doing like the inside of my stomach.
Yeah.
So it was like right at like the kid. Like I was like, all right, man.
Yep.
I was like, to be honest, can we finish up like another day? He's like, really? And I was like. Yeah, look at me. I was like, I got enough tattoos. I ain't trying to be tough.
And that's just it. Yeah, it's like after this, I've got my tattoo stripes. I don't have anything to prove to anybody anymore.
Right.
Exactly. And I was like, I'm done, man. He just looked at me. He goes, I'm the same way now. And I like laughed. I was like, then why did you say anything? He goes, I just wanted to see. And I was like, man. Yeah. And my tattoo artist is like from here completely covered, and he's the same way. He can only get tattooed for like an hour, and he's like, "I'm done. I'm over it." And that's super fun.
Yeah, my tattoo guy, all his tattoos are probably 30 years old. I was like, "How come you don't do anything anymore?" He goes, "Because it fucking hurts, and I don't want it anymore."
Yeah,
He's like, "Nah." He goes, "I'm over that."
It doesn't rub the right way anymore. After a while, you're just like, "Oh, it hurts. I don't want to do it anymore."
No, and then between that pain and then sitting in just awkward positions, my bones and joints hurt and back gets tight, and it's like,
yeah. Well, and you guys have done enough to your bodies that like just sitting in one spot for that long can't be comfortable at all.
I keep saying I'm close to getting done, but it's probably a lie.
Yeah, right. That's all right though. As long as you guys are happy, that's what matters, man. I'm so far behind both of you. I have a lot of work to do to catch up. I want to get back to a couple of wrestling things because that's kind of how we do it. We go in and out.
Yeah.
I want to talk about aces and eights, guys. I was watching stuff because I knew we were doing this. And
we're current on TV right now. If you have a smart TV like a Roku TV, and you download the Pluto app, we're on 24/7. There's a channel called Impact, and there's nothing but Impact Wrestling on.
Yeah, it's very cool. I watched though your guys' turn, the heel turn, and then the next show after where you guys got on the mic and gave your promos of why, and again just the heat that you guys drew, even before you were officially like when you guys were like then full on, but I mean just the heat you guys drew as a group, and when you two joined and made it clear and you screwed Angle over. Oh my God, it was beautiful. It was so good. It's stuff that I miss nowadays half of the time. You know what I mean? But I mean, what was that like for you guys? I mean, first of all, again, both of you coming in pretty fresh. You're working with Angle. You've got Hogan, Flair. Your father is involved. Like all these names involved. But I mean, you guys came into probably one of the best, if not the best, heel faction that ever existed in TNA and Impact, still to this day.
I mean, yeah, it was freaking awesome. To be a part of something, I'm sure Wes will agree, to be a part of something that, and at that time, there hadn't been an edgy group like that anywhere, in any organization. it had been, it had been since basically, since the NWO, since anybody's seen it. I'm not saying there wasn't groups of factions that didn't do good, but not that had that edgy feel to it like the Aces and Eights did. So it was a lot of fun. You guys are going to bear with me here.
Oh no!
Oh, we lost him.
He knew something was coming too. That's why he was like bracing for it. All right, so I'm gonna put him in the waiting room, so it's just us till he pops back up, and then I'll pop him in. Dude, seriously, I rewatched your guys' heel turn though, and it was just.
Do you know where that was at?
Now, am I right? Did it happen? Did it happen overseas?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
We got you, buddy.
All right. So I'm just I'm technology challenged here today, I guess.
That's right. I'm gonna kick your other there. There you go. You're good.
So
yeah, your guys' heel turn. Yeah.
Yeah. So and that was overseas. That was over in Europe. That was the UK was the first one, I think, and then we were in Wembley, London. Might have been the next one.
When you guys did the in-ring stuff, after the initial turn, I don't know where it was, but it was huge. It was a huge arena. It looked like, and just and those Europe crowds are great.
Oh, they're
awesome. They were hot.
They're awesome. Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and we did. Yep, it was the United Kingdom. That was the one we did because we scaled the cage that night. That's right. So yeah, that was so much fun. The adrenaline. Every time I think about that, I still get goosebumps because that adrenaline rush from that night and hearing that hot of a crowd and getting that much just anger out of people. And it wasn't just anger because that's what they knew they were supposed to do. They were legit pissed, and it was It was fun.
At one, it was funny. I was standing right next to Garett, and you could literally hear a pin drop because everybody went, yeah. And then all of a sudden, we were like, "Fuck you!" Bam, 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 and it was insane. And then the rocket ship just took off. Right, I would say.
Yeah, it was great to see because I remember watching the gut check match, and it was like everybody was behind both of you then, and you guys had the whole crowd.
See, there was a while before we revealed ourselves. Me and Garett had tons of matches where we were babyface together, and then it was a long time before we revealed ourselves. I mean, we were some of the later people to reveal ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. But to see that right, and to see the gut check crowd and like the babyface crowd you guys had, and then to see you guys on the microphone after the actual turn in the cage. And just how the crowd hated both of you. It was amazing. It was amazing. Like each time, like when you both got the mic in hand, that crowd didn't want to hear nothing. And it was just, it was so beautiful.
Well, that's the whole point of being a heel.
Oh, I know, but that's how good you guys were, what you were doing in Impact
and
what Aces and Eights was doing.
Yeah. I remember one time I looked at Garett and I forgot, it was when Bully was doing some of it's when he told Hogan that he was part of the Aces and Eights. And I remember them throwing so much trash inside the ring. And I was like, you don't see stuff like that like at all. Like that's something that's like does never in a million years, except for the old NWA days, you see heat like that where people, if you can go on YouTube and actually watch it. So if anybody doesn't believe me, and they actually stopped it, it got way worse than what you can see. But towards the end, they threw so much trash into that ring. Garett, wouldn't you say that was like one of the craziest things?
Oh yeah, for sure. They were getting hit with everything under the sun. We were keeping an eye out for heavy objects flying, for sure.
Yeah,
it was.
You remember that? You remember that one time I got yelled at because someone in the crowd gave me a beer and I came backstage and I had a beer in my hand and I got yelled at and Chavo grabbed it and chugged it right there and then was like, well, that was my beer.
Good times.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I would get scared watching you guys go through the crowd during those days because I thought, I was legit. It was like, dude, someone's gonna punch these guys, and this is gonna go very south.
Punch who?
Like anyone, because fans are dumb at times. A lot of times,
dude. You know the squad we had with us.
Oh no, yeah,
some of the biggest, scariest people in the world. You weren't gonna. you might think about it or like say something, but if you looked and we ganged up on, plus we never went alone. We were with a squad. So what's one person going to do against 4 people that are all jacked up, huge? Me and Garrett are the smallest people, and me and Garrett are pretty big guys, and we're next to all guys that are 6'6", 6'5",
Right.
and someone's gonna say something. We instigate it. We try to get people, wouldn't you say, Garrett, to do stuff?
Oh yeah, sure. That was the fun part about being that close to the crowd. You'd let them get that close and instigate, and they would get that angry, and you know,
Garrett was the worst. Garrett would get people so riled up. Garrett would get in people's face and say, cut promos on everybody while he was walking down, and people would get so mad at Garrett. That was one of my favorite things about Garrett, was when he would just cut promos on people just walking down, and they would get so pissed off at him.
Well, and I never got. It's not fun to get all tough with them. So I kind of learned that from my dad. You know, it's a lot more fun to, say, "Oh, what's the matter, sweetheart? Are you having a bad day? Come here, I'll give you a kiss." You know, I mean, just stuff like that. That just makes
Garrett would always be like, people would get so angry.
Oh, that's great. So it's great because you don't see that anymore, man. At least I don't, and I miss that. I miss being passionate about hating or loving someone on a wrestling show. I really do. I want to ask you this though too, because you had the chance to work with your dad and you hit him with a guitar. How much of when you were doing that was like, hey, remember all those days you grounded me, or you did this, or you didn't give me this? How much of that came back when they're like, you're gonna take a guitar to him tonight?
To be honest with, and everybody asked me that question. To be honest with you, I was so nervous about that match, and there was so much going on. That thought really never crossed my mind. It wasn't until he started beating the shit out of me with that kendo stick that I really started going, all right, I can't wait for this. He lit up the thing. He beat the hell out of me with that thing, and it's funny because he did that, and then I smashed a guitar over his head. My mom didn't speak to either one of us for like 2 days.
Yeah, but so what's been on Mr. Garrett's playlist? What have you been bumping out lately? Like what's been on your playlist? Like what have you been jamming out to?
You know me, I listen to a little bit of everything. I got some metal and some heavy stuff, a little bit of that country hip hop kind of. I'm like Moonshine Bandits. I'm a big fan of, and Upchurch, and but I can jump from that to Metallica to George Jones to Hank Sr., Hank Jr., up to Linkin Park. I mean, I'm kind of all over the map. So I got a pretty heavy mix of a pretty good variety going on.
My next question I was going to ask you is, have you talked to Knobs at all? How's he doing? Hopefully he's doing
talked to him. I think he just had a birthday, but I haven't talked to him in a hot minute. It's been probably a year or two since I've seen him or talked to him.
Yeah, me and Garrett used to spend some time with Knobs, so that's why I was asking. Me and Garrett used to do some training down at when Knobs had a school back in the day, but we used to go in there and use his ring and watch him just go crazy on kids. But it was fun. He's a good guy. He has a good heart.
He is.
But once he gets that liquor in him, that's a whole nother story, though.
Yeah, booze will do
You're
that
along
to you.
For the ride at that point.
Booze will do that to you.
Yeah. So,
go ahead.
Oh no, I'll let you go, Ace.
I was gonna go back to the music, man, because obviously this last year and a half, things been way different. But what I was gonna ask you is, before everything got shut down, did you go to any like shows? What was the last concert you went to? Like, what was your last like cool live event you went to before this whole lockdown happened?
I hit a Moonshine Bandits concert, and those, we're friends. Those are my boys. So anytime they're in town,
no way,
and meet up with them. Yeah, they're good dudes. In fact, that's where if I use one of their songs, "Dead Man's Hand," that's my entrance music. I got their okay to use that. That's my entrance music at ARW.
So the Dead Man's Hand, was that the remake of the Aces and Eights song that they did?
No, it had nothing to do with the wrestling. They just happen to call it Dead Man's Hand. It's
no way. You remember when we had that one group actually do a song with lyrics?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
That was
I
dope.
don't remember. Yeah. But so I hit one of their shows, and then before that, the last biggest concert was I think was Five Finger Death Punch.
Nice.
It was either Finger Death Punch or Kid Rock. And I don't remember. I hit them both in the same year. I don't remember which one was for or last. But I don't like crowds. I don't do well at concerts.
Dude, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%.
I just don't do well. After about an hour and a half, as much as I like to be there and be in the music, waiting in lines, paying $15 for a beer, and getting shoved around. I just my fuse is short. I don't tolerate it very well. So I become not such a fun person to be around. So I don't do a lot of those. They're few and far between.
Yeah, dude, I'm with you, man. When I go now, I go like to the sides out. I'm out from everybody, and as soon as it's starting to get too crowded, I'm like, hey, okay, it's time to go, man. I don't want to be around this. I don't know. And the pandemic made it worse. Now I'm really just like, I don't want to be around big crowds at all now. But
yeah, but
that's just because I've gotten so used to being not social for the last year. The only people I see are my coworkers, which is not it's just a year and a half. It's been nuts, man. It's really been nuts. But
yeah, we won't talk about that stuff. But what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, what about your love for classic trucks? Because I'm kind of jealous because you have something that it's one of the trucks that I've been dreaming of having. Tell me a little bit about that little custom baby you got.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a toy junkie, and I like old school shit.
Nice.
People always ask like, "Oh, if you had a Ferrari or a Porsche," I'm like, I'd take either one, sell it, and then I'd go build a badass '69 Chevelle or an old 1970 K5 Blazer and put that thing up on 30. I like old American muscle. I have a '65 Ford 100 single cab short bed up at my parents' house in Wyoming. That's where she stays.
Well, I think
it's a bad man.
I thought I saw it in Florida, or were you getting it done in Florida? Or was it ever in Florida?
Here, I thought about bringing it down, but it's got no power steering, it's got no air conditioning, and those trucks,
no AC in Florida, not gonna work.
No, it's just not. And, they're too easy to steal, and that truck would disappear. I got a custom paint job on it, and I mean it's not like a show truck, but it's nice, and every time I go back home to Wyoming, that's what I drive. It's a 390 with a 4-speed. Dual exhaust, Flowmasters, headers.
What?
Ignition, MSD.
Nice.
Well, she's all done up. So I'm thinking, my dad and I were just talking actually, because it's a 2-wheel drive truck. We're actually thinking about lifting the body and taking everything off and swapping it to a 4x4 frame and then putting 33s on it.
Hell yeah.
So,
hell yeah.
May do that. That may be the next time.
Yeah.
So do you do all this yourself, right? You gearhead? Do you get in there and just restore a lot of it yourself?
Nah.
No.
I mean, I would like to say, yeah, I do a lot of it myself. I don't. I come up with my concepts, obviously what I want, and obviously the truck's there in Wyoming and I'm here in Florida, so there's not much I can do. I just don't have the time to learn how to do all that stuff the right way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know how to get things done quick but like this like out here, that 79 shovel head, I'll do a lot of that myself. That's a fairly simple. I shouldn't say simple. It's not as high tech as a lot of the stuff is. That's there's a little more basic, so to speak. Those old bikes, it's the motor, it's a tranny. There's some brake lights and a headlight, and that's it. It's not all fancy. So, and I went to MMI before I ever got into wrestling. I actually graduated Harley Davidson mechanic school.
Oh wow, nice! Hell yeah!
Certification
no way,
early model,
dude.
late model, and V-Rod and Buell.
Wow, dude, that's so badass.
Yeah, I got it certified and all that.
Dude, that is sick.
I just never really did it. It kind of took the fun out of it when I ended up not doing anything with it.
But the whole point is now you know how, like, that's just something to say that you know how to do it, and that's like the best part, because if not, you have to learn from some old head, and they're so hard to come by. Like some guy that's willing to be like, hey son, come sit in my shop and learn how to like work on bikes. You don't really come across people like that anymore. And I would say yes.
That's cool though, because you'll be able to, it like
No,
now.
you don't. It's it's hard to find someone that kept that kind of.
And it's someone to trust too. Like people don't realize, like to have someone work on your bike, it's someone that you have to really trust, because if they don't put a screw on right, say goodbye. There is no like, oh, I got a roll cage or I got doors or a frame. Nah, if something's not done right or tightened the right way, it's a disaster. That's why motorcycle mechanics, like you find a good one, you keep for the rest of your life, because I mean, they're hard to come by. What do you think, Garett? I think he's on a little bit of a lag.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's when you find that guy that you definitely trust. I mean, it's not like being in a car. You don't get a whole lot of. There's not a lot of great.
And the internet looks like it's not working so well.
Did I lose you?
Yeah, it's a little choppy. Yeah, that's all right though. So how long do you think that'll take you? Like, I just because I'm curious. I am not good at any of that kind of stuff, man. I pay everybody to do everything because I'm just horrible.
He said 5 years.
You think?
That's what he said.
Oh, okay. Man, that's awesome. But that's got to be a great feeling though, to put something like do a restore on a bike like that, and then when it's done, you're riding around. People are like, "Where'd you get that?" Oh, it was in pieces a few years ago. I did this.
I could not imagine.
Probably.
Oh, did he come in? He came in for a second. And no.
Let's try this.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's all right though. We'll keep going until until it settles down and he can be on there. Yeah, I couldn't do any of that. Because you, cat, don't do that. You like do audio stuff to your stuff, White Ross. Like you go more like the audio route with customizing.
I do everything, but I don't like. Again, I don't do it myself because
right. No, yeah.
But like I could work on like an old Ford truck. I could take out like the starter and do that type of stuff. But
you're good, brother.
These new age stuff, I can't do. Cavacito, it's okay, buddy.
So yeah, hey, real quick, we have a kind of a little break here. While Garett's getting situated, introduce your friend here. Your new.
I don't know where he's at right now.
Oh, did he run off already? Oh, I was gonna say he was already kind of on screen, but we haven't actually introduced him yet.
No, he has to go to the bathroom because he's whining right now. So,
puppy dad.
Might be time we might be winding this bad boy up, or I might be cleaning up poop.
Puppy dad. Oh, you're gonna be cleaning so much poop up. So okay, cafecito, like a cafe, right? Cafecito. And he's on Instagram.
Yeah, cafecito.
So everybody follow him on Instagram.
Cafecito, come here.
Proud new parents.
Come here.
Dude, this guy like he's gonna be your shadow. I can already tell you this.
He follows me everywhere. He has, I think, over 200 followers.
That a boy. Look at that cafecito. Get on that mic, brother. Look at. He's like, I want to talk, Dad.
Yeah, he just got on the IG. I monetize all this things, so any puppies that want to send inappropriate puppy stuff, it's not gonna get past Daddy. I control all this social media, so no nude puppy shots. Nope.
No nipple shots.
No.
He's adorable though. He made the flight okay. He slept on the flight. You said
slept the whole entire time.
That's amazing. He is adorable, man. I'm so happy you guys got this look.
And he loves his daddy. Where did Garett go?
I think he's just getting situated, getting his stuff. Well, let's do this till he comes back. Dan's asking what kind of breed he is. By the way, Dan, I see your comments. I appreciate it. Thank you for hanging out with us. when we have guests on, I tend to not put a lot of the comments up there just so we can focus. Dan, so sorry. Dan's a good. Dan follows my other show too, and he's a great guy. Big wrestling guy.
That's the only thing. Like Ace will tell you, sometimes especially when we have guests, we get a little sidetracked, and it's hard to like. We love the questions and comments and stuff like that, especially when it's just me and Big Ace. But when we have a guest, it's too much going on, and we try to always keep it where we have a good flow to this. Oh,
hey!
Are you in the garage?
No, I just had to go. My computer died, and then I switched over to my phone. So obviously it's the phone. So let me go kill that phone real quick, and I'll be right back.
Yeah,
right on,
no
brother.
worries.
Anyways, Dan was asking to breed.
We were right, weren't we? Right. We were right.
Phones aren't the best. Phones don't work.
We do this podcast enough where we can tell when, hey, you're on your phone, bud. We can tell.
So what's the breed again?
He is.
It's a mix, obviously.
Pitbull.
He's a beautiful dog.
Yeah, he's my little baby. And he's biting my arm.
Oh yeah, the puppy teething, bro. That's a thing. It's great.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. Enjoy that because my cat bites me and it's actually it hurts and he's an asshole for it.
So where did I lose you guys at there? The last one.
Well, we were talking about the bikes and and Bus was talking about finding a good bike repair man and someone you can trust on that.
Yeah. So to find a good mechanic that you trust is absolutely dire because you don't have the forgiveness of a steel cage wrapped around you. So, and like the car mechanics, there's plenty of shady bike mechanics that say they can do things that they don't really know what to do. So, finding that guy that you trust to really, to put your life in his hands, you gotta. Once you find him, you stick with it.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing I want to say is how crazy me and your dad our dads are best friends. Or I wouldn't say best friends, but they're pretty damn good friends.
They're pretty tight.
That's pretty cool, huh? I wish they got to go out to dinner or out to lunch, and I was so mad that I didn't get to go. And I was like so jealous that like you guys all went out to lunch without me.
We went to a good little Italian place that your dad liked.
Nice.
Oh, so jealous.
Hell yeah.
So
now
jealous.
When because you have we told the story when your dad was on here, Wes, about him watching you at Impact and kind of hanging out like in the upper area away from all the fans and him running into Garett's dad, and those two ended up watching the show together and having some beers, watching you guys. So you, because your dad wasn't like actually on right at that point, or was he on? Were you at wrestling at that point with Impact too? Then Garett that night.
What do you?
That
was Tampa.
It was where?
It was the USF Sundome Center.
Arizona. Yeah, that was the show there. So we were there. We were on. What's up, Nick?
Oh yeah. Speaking of guy, I was gonna just mention Nick. I was gonna be like,
what's up? Yeah, you're right. It was this down there over there in Arizona. He was not on TV at that point. He was not on TV at that point. He was just behind the scenes and they both snuck up into the way up into a box or where nobody could see or spot him.
Yeah, because if my dad would have got caught, he would have got fired.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
he was still there.
It had to be super, super low key. And my dad knew that he could trust Eric, and like Eric wouldn't say any like you got to think like to trust someone to be able that's huge in the wrestling business, and especially like my dad be able to trust Eric and be like, hey, I'm here, and Eric be like, hell yeah, and then like he told my dad go sit down because Eric always used to watch the show from the crowd because he always likes to see how the crowd interact with the matches. Like he liked to get that perspective, and so happens he ran to my dad, and my dad loves Eric and trusts Eric to death, and of course no one ever knows the story. Stop it, Capacito. But us, because it's something that would always go to the grave because Eric's such a good friend. But for them to sit down, have beers, watch the rest of the show, my dad leave, and nobody knew. I'm talking about nobody knew. Not even Dixie Carter. Nobody had a clue. The only person that knew was me, Garett, his dad, and my dad. That was the only people that knew. And that's pretty crazy. To hold a secret like that is pretty crazy.
Yeah, well, it's, I can't speak for your dad, but I know how my old man is. He doesn't, his circle is about this big. You know what I mean? And it's not because he doesn't like people. It is what it is. He's been around this stuff his whole life, and it is, and I think your dad's the same way. But that being said, your dad is, our dads, they're in each other's tight circles like that. And it's been that way since, ever since, and when my dad was at WWE, they hung out together, they went and hung out together after shows. They didn't go do, whatever everybody else was doing. And, my dad very, very much respects, man. And it's cool. It's cool to see that they have that friendship and still have kept it to this day. A lot of times, it's easy to make that relationship with any guy or any worker when you're there, but when your time is up and you're not there anymore, it's easy to kind of drift, not communicate or anything. But they still do. They still talk and hang out.
Yeah, and that's when the bonds are like the most important, is when you get to that age where you can call one of your friends that are one of your old time partners that, because there's not too many people that like go through what we go through that we can bond with, that you don't really got to say much. We can just kind of just hang out and just smile or shoot the shit. And that's all that needs to be said. We don't need a 30-minute or hour-long conversation. It's just more like,
what's up? How's the wife? How's the kid? How's the fishing? How's the weather?
Exactly. It's
another beer. All right, cool. Catch you on the next one.
Right. Well, what's cool about it too is that now we're seeing two generations of that friendship.
Yeah,
that's what's even cooler right now.
And that friendship ain't ever gonna die, dude. We're boys for life.
Absolutely.
But we're getting close to that time. Is there anything that you would like to plug? Is there, anything you'd like to, where people can follow you at, where people can get your merchandise at? Just kind of, is there anything you would like to throw out there real quick before we end the show?
I'm pretty, I'm one of those. It is what it is. If I see you on the road, I got some shirts. You want to grab one, I'll have them. I don't, my Twitter account is actually, I don't know what's going on. I'm fighting and arguing with Twitter right now for them to give it back to me. I don't know what. They just took it away. It's not there anymore. It's there if somebody else goes to it, but I can't get it. I can't get access to it. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out. But my Instagram is Garett Bischoff. You won't see, you see a little bit of wrestling stuff on there, but you see mostly you'll see more of me and my dog, or, sitting on the boat or out riding the Harleys with the boys, or, that kind of stuff.
See, that's what I like. That's the same with mine. It's like every once in a while, unless it's a really good action shot of me, I'm not posting it. Unless there's a lot of shots of me and you on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, it's like, I'm kind of picky on what goes on there.
I tried to get a picture for the show and it wasn't downloading for some reason, but it was Garrett throwing Wes over his head in the ring. I was like, that's a great shot. Let's use this one during the show.
I want to see that one. Which one?
I know I couldn't for some reason. It just wasn't downloading. I don't know what the deal was, man.
What'd you do, Wes? Who'd you talking and not showing that?
Yeah, he's in there behind the scenes.
Garrett's had to throw me over his shoulders and run out.
No, like I said, I don't do a whole lot of. I have one upcoming event this weekend, ARW up there in Melbourne. Atomic Revolution Wrestling. We going up. I'll be working with Sin Bodie, and he's a cool dude. I can't wait. Yeah, he's a different kind of cat, but he's been around too. He was one of the first guys I met. Coming into this game, long time ago. He's an incredible worker. So I'm looking forward to it.
How funny is that? When I first got signed with WWE, he was one of my first matches that I had in developmental. Was actually.
He's been in the game for a long time. He's one of those guys that's been around for a hot minute. And he's great in the ring. He really knows his stuff. So it'll be a good one. That one's this Saturday, like I said. So. But other than that, I don't have anything on the books. That's kind of the last one I committed to for a while at least. Working the real jobs Monday through Friday. My weekends are precious to me, so
right.
I like to spend them hanging out here. Like a beautiful backyard and a pool, and my wife and I just picked up a new little boat, so we got a nice 17-foot Sunbird bow rider with 115 horse, Evan Root on it. So I'm looking forward to kind of spending our days out on Three Ricker Island and just hanging out and and then jump on the bike with the boys and do some riding.
And then every once in a while, people, you can book us to do autograph signings. We have been doing a lot of Aces and Eights reunion autograph signings, and those have been doing really well. And it's a guarantee that we can get probably, it's not always a guarantee, but me, Garrett, Nuxie, Doc, and then D'Lo, those are pretty much the guys that are pretty much committed that we are doing some Aces and Eights reunion stuff. So if you guys do want to book the Aces and Eights guys, we're more than welcome to come out and do autograph signings and stuff like that. And the success with those have been really, really well. So we are, always open for the Aces and Eights reunion bookings.
Yeah. My email is info@onebadcat.com. That's on my Twitter page. That's where you can reach out to me for booking inquiries, and Wes, whatever yours is. And hey, if we can make it happen, I'm always down to do a reunion.
Hell yeah, dude! It'd be great to get that up here in Minnesota. That's what we got to do. Next time you up here, anytime you're up here, Gary, you hit me up, man. I'll come on and have some beers with you.
I got family up there. I got a lot of family up there, so it'd be good to get back up there and see some family.
Hell yeah, man! You hit me up when you're in town, and we'll have some good times.
Oh, I want to get up there and pull some pull tabs. It's one thing I miss about Minnesota.
Yeah. Hell yeah! The most
nobody down here knows what pull tabs are.
Really, I didn't know that. Wes, do you know what a pull tab is?
No, but the puppy is whining. So
all right.
And we're almost to the hour mark.
So Pup's got to go out. Okay, he doesn't know what a pull tab is. I got to teach him that someday, and that's crazy. I didn't know that, Garrett. Thank you for letting me know that. So yeah, we'll do some pull tabs when you're up here next, bro.
I like it.
All right, guys. I'll be in Iowa Saturday, IPW 20th anniversary show. Make sure you check that out if you're in the Midwest. I'll be out there, maybe helping with some commentary and doing some filming for them. It's going to be a great show. And Wes, we'll be back next week. Again, BOC Nation. Make sure you check it out. Official partners now. It was announced this week. We're glad to be a part of the BOC Nation with the great talent they have. So make sure you watch for some cool announcements of what we're going to be doing with those guys as well going forward. Again, find us online. Brisco and Big A Show. Follow us, share it, subscribe it, all that stuff. Dan, thanks for hanging out. Nick, thanks for hanging out. And you're right, I do need to get down to Florida and see all you guys and hang out again. It's been way too long. So we're going to make that all happen. Everybody enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you soon on the Brisco and Big A Show.
Rock and roll.